Now, Arya Stark, when it comes to the Game of Thrones TV show at the very least, is the greatest warrior in existence. The main reason being is because the core part of her character was to lose herself, become no one, and then in turn, become assassin. Fulfill contracts, be able to blend in with literally anyone by taking the face of dead men and assuming the identity to the point where they're indistinguishable from the person they are portraying. Arya Stark not only did that, but was trained in all the different fighting styles that were near Westeros. She also was given... Alright, look, before I get into any of that, if you enjoy my content, you enjoy this video in particular, slap a like on it. The like on this video is going to be 42069. Get it? No, not! Alright, now like I said literally just a few seconds ago, Arya is the best. She's the most trained person. And in her first episode... in the second episode, she's given Needle. And then later on in the series, she's given another dagger, which I want to reference here in a second. But the fact that from the very beginning, we're seeing that she sort of goes against everything that we know about any sort of, not just fantasy series, but we know this is a medieval series. Ultimately, there's dragons, there's magic, but George has said this over and over again in every interview he does where he talks about either his inspiration for writing A Song of Ice and Fire, his favorite types of books, or just fantasy in general. When you have a big pot of stew or a large book containing characters, a world that doesn't exist in reality, magic, you can use magic and salt to flavor this world. If you use it too much, it's boring, it's bland, it's like all the many bullshit fantasy novels that are written and turned out every single day. There's like 30 of them released every week. They're all garbage. There's very few that are as good as A Song of Ice and Fire. In my opinion, it is the best fantasy series written of all time, right? I think it's better than Lord of the Rings. You might call it close that there are moments in the Lord of the Rings coming up Lord of the Rings TV series, but in the Lord of the Rings movies that are comparable to the Game of Thrones series, but as a whole, Game of Thrones is my favorite. I grew up watching the Lord of the Rings movies, but I think the main thing they're missing from that calls to me as an adult is titties, dragons, blood. Like Lord of the Rings has violence, and I'm not going to open up that in the comment section, but I don't... Game of Thrones, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time. But to bring this whole fucking thing back to my point, because that was one crazy tangent, this world is set in very much so medieval English history. That's what it's based on. Literally the War of the Roses. Just English history. The conquering, the crazy crusades that went on to establish England and Great Britain and, the UK. It's full of blood and twist and betrayal. And if you think Game of Thrones is too insane or too hard to follow and it's completely unbelievable, well, real life English history is much more bloodier. But anyway... In this type of world, women were treated a certain way, and Arya Stark rebelled against everything that would have made her a typical woman in this society. Now, in George's books, he mentions that northern women learn how to ride horses, they learn how to hunt, they learn how to fish, but Arya goes it one step further. She learns how to water dance, she learns how to swing a sword, she learns how to become a faceless man, she learns how to literally fight someone when she's handicapped, right? So most fighters will learn how to fight in traditional Westerosi style, like Jon Snow in particular. He was trained, obviously, at Winterfell and then mostly at Castle Black. He was so good that he actually taught all of the other brothers in the Night's Watch. Well, Arya... she learned that as well, right? So she grew up, John taught her some of that stuff, but then also she learned water dancing. She practiced that every day, and then a lot of people tend to fall into the trap of, well, if I don't see it on camera, it didn't happen. movies and TV shows used to be able to just allow the audience to assume things. They didn't have to show every little thing. And that's what happens with Arya when I would make these videos and I would explain to everyone why Arya's the greatest fighter. She's been training every fucking day. Even before I knew she was going to kill the Night King, or before I saw her kill the Night King, I was like, she's the greatest fighter of all time. That's why she's my favorite character. Who gives a shit about some of the writing choices? Arya's character has always been on fucking point for me. It's a visual medium. I don't read so much into the dialogue. I'm always like, dragons, battles, explosions. That's what entertains me when it comes to me wanting to watch something, right? So Arya fits into that perfectly. Her character fits into that perfectly. It just makes the most sense to me to have her kill the Night King. She's the most powerful character. Jon is one of the most loved characters. He's one of the most well-rounded. There are things that happen with Arya, but mostly the wave chase scene, and obviously a few other choices where, Dan and Dave were forced to make their own decisions because George obviously hadn't finished the books yet. So that's kind of where her character falls off when people who didn't write her are forced to write for her. But it's argued that Jon, didn't... Debate me down in the comment section. There's this guy that I know is probably itching to comment. He's waiting for that big duel between the Night King and Jon Snow. But I want to use that as a reference point. Arya deserved the kill. I think Jon Snow deserved to battle the Night King. He shouldn't have been forced to yell at a dragon. That was a terrible decision. But he should have, if not killed the Night King himself, right? Obviously there's a part of me that wanted that to happen. Obviously Jon Snow's whole storyline revolved around the White Walkers, but everything in when it comes to writing and when it comes to TV and movies is all about usurping expectations. So you kind of don't see it coming when you realize, looking back at it now that it's ended, both of them have sort of been trained in different ways to kill, right? So the only way to kill the Night King, the way it was written, was Arya was the only one who could do that. But Jon's whole storyline revolved around the White Walkers. And the same thing you could argue about why they decided to kill the White Walkers off early is because everyone sort of forgot about the main point of the story, which was the battle for the Iron Throne. War is terrible. It shouldn't happen. All of it's pointless, right? So they had to get rid of the fantasy element early on. And in doing so, they had to write themselves out of the way they wrote themselves into. This video is getting pretty long. I'm going to wrap it up here. So my first point, I wanted to make 3 real quick to summarize. Obviously, Arya is literally the most trained person. In the very first episode, she starts training. The second episode, she's given needle by Jon Snow. The two of them, it's from that scene. It's like a quintessential scene, quintessential moment. From that scene, we know that the two of their fates are tied into the ending, right? And then my second point was that she had another brother, Bran, give her the cat's paw dagger. Bran knew all along she was going to be the one to kill the Night King. Speaking of which, obviously the cat's paw dagger is going to be linked to Dark Sister in the TV series. That's why there's so much hype about it, because Prince Daemon wields Dark Sister, and maybe at the end of it, when it's found and removed from Aemond's fucking neck, it's turned into the cat's paw dagger. That would be a good way to link the two shows. And obviously the cat's paw dagger is famous. I don't know if you all watching this video remember, but when we started to get the promo photos for when all the Starks were going to be reunited in season 7, season 8, Arya was shown holding the cat's paw dagger. It's a pretty big deal, so it's memorable, and that'd be a good way to link the two shows. But Bran gave her the dagger because he knew that the dagger would be used for the two biggest threats to House Stark, right? So when he comes down, he knows he's going to be the king. She uses the dagger to not only kill Littlefinger, she also uses it to kill the Night King. And then obviously Game of Thrones and George R. Martin's works mostly have very feminist undertones, and one of the best things that Dan and Dave did, in my opinion, when you argue it the way and the points that I just made, is by giving the kill of the century, so to speak, to a woman, right? They wanted to shift the focus of the story back to war is bad and the war for the Iron Throne. And remember that that was the whole promo running up for the final season, is like, for the throne, for the throne. So the way they wanted to wrap that all up, and obviously you could argue that that's against the very point of Martin's writings, but that's just the way they had to do it. And obviously with the feminist undertones, giving the kill to a woman, that's one of the best things Dan and Dave did with the finale. Obviously I still think that Jon should have if not dueled the Night King, it maybe should have been like a joint effort. I think the kill should have went to Arya ultimately because the way they had it set up in the story, it made the most sense. He had to be snuck up on, and Arya was the only one to do that. Now, I may make a video, if this one's popular, doing a counterpoint to why Jon should have been the one to get the kill for the Night King. Let me know down below in the comment section. I'm sure there's something you have to let me know your thoughts on. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Long Night. Oh, wait. Before I get out of here, Game of Thrones, HBO has officially announced a convention. They have never done a convention for Game of Thrones before. Now, obviously, the actors have taken parts at conventions. I've been to one called Con of Thrones several times myself. They've never had one that's officially backed by HBO. So this is a really big deal. This would be huge for my channel. Obviously, I'm a father, a stay-at-home dad. I can't afford to do that with YouTube's ad revenue alone. It's very low these days. So I decided to make a GoFundMe. If you can't donate anything, obviously just watching my videos helps out a lot. But if you can and you want to show some support, go check it out. I'll let the link down below in the description. All right, but I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all so much for watching. My name's Mark. Long night. Zeldrizas Buzdari Ixos Taor. Oh, yeah, the like goal is going to be 420. Get it. Boom.